This episode of WW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're looking to plan a trip for 2010 and you're saying to yourself, ooh, man, it's almost 2010. I mean, it's, 2 weeks? Man, 2010 begins?
It's almost 2010.
I know, right? And it's, shut up, Mike. And, it's already January and you say, boy, maybe it's about time I get around to planning that trip. Maybe you're looking at 10 event, or maybe you're looking at something else in 2010. Now's the time to book with MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, December 23rd, 2009, and this is episode 600 and something. I don't know what episode this will be, but this will be something of WW Today. I'm Matt Hotchberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, I know actually on Monday's show, we had the event from the episode recorded from the American Adventure, and what you didn't hear on that was that when people entered the American Adventure event back in Reunion, what music was playing for people to come in there? Something that was very patriotic.
Van Halen was playing when you first came in. Exactly the way it should be. Nothing says America like two Dutch brothers playing guitar and drums.
That's right.
That was very patriotic.
That's right. Also joins on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike,
Yes.
2 days till Christmas. I think it's time that maybe we buy presents for our wives.
I gotta go. Bye.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.now.
Speaking of humbug,
Buy 4 of my apples, and I'll loan you back the 10 cents.
Nice.
Muppets. American Adventure. No one's got
Right,
that.
jeez.
Oh, do I have to answer all of these? Come on.
Things I do for you guys.
It's Wednesday, and we're answering your listener questions. And we're going to start with an email from Holly from Ocoee, Florida, who writes, Hi, podcast crew. I'm a new listener and have been enjoying catching up on your shows. Working backwards, I'm somewhere around 525 right now, so I do have a ways to go. I thought I could expand on the listener question show from episode 651 regarding the animal procedure schedule at Conservation Station. Remember that infamous show now where one of our listeners was there to have a duck, see a duck being castrated?
Oh, yes.
I used to be a scientist working at Rafiki, so I had a lot of interaction with the vet over there. No, we're not starting that again.
No foul language.
I knew this was coming.
Most routine animal procedures are scheduled in the mornings to allow animals time to recover during the day in the vet treatment center before heading back to their normal housing in Animal Kingdom. The exact daily schedules, for example, which animals, are typically not released to the public since these things can come up and cause a last-minute change, and they don't want to disappoint guests that might travel to Rafiki's just to see a certain animal procedure that may be postponed or canceled. Emergency procedures may occur there at any time, so it might be best to see something in the afternoon as well. However, between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. is probably your best bet. I've been able to witness several animal procedures. Some of the memorable ones include lion tooth extraction,
Wow.
gorilla dental work, cheetah exams, porcupine...
Cheetah exams?
Yeah.
They monkey around?
That
I go bananas watching that, man.
Please
Porcupine
make it
physical
stop.
exam. Yes, the porcupine went sound asleep
Make
for
it
that
stop.
one.
Ouch.
They probably make a point, huh?
Ouch. Ouch. Ouch.
Keep going, Matt. Keep going.
12-foot Nile crocodile jaw surgery. He was strapped to a giant ladder, which was on top of the operating table. Yes, he was asleep for that procedure as well. And yes, several duck castrations. As a side note, Disney cares a lot for the wildlife that may become injured on Disney property, including mallard ducks. Mallard ducks are overpopulated in the state and can be interbred with the native Florida mottled duck. So once Disney vets treat the mallards, they castrate them prior to releasing them back into the wild.
They're putting together a duck choir or something, you know?
Quack, quack, quack. Anything from fish to birds to a 450-pound gorilla has been seen in the vet treatment center. You never know what you might see there, so it's worth a look.
What time did he say that they begin?
10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Hey, come on, we gotta hurry up. We're gonna make the 10 o'clock castration.
So I should get there at 12 is what you're saying.
Exactly. Love you. Love the show. Just wanted to say I have an ADR for 10 a.m. to see the castration.
Oh, man. That's what you call...
No.
never mind.
No. We're
No,
just moving
no,
on. This is it.
no,
Done.
I was gonna say, never mind.
no.
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 Next email is from Steve Bratton, who writes, just wanted to pass along a smile. My wife's dad took their family to Walt Disney World frequently and stayed at the Contemporary each time. She finally remembers the huge game room as her dad would give the kids a roll of quarters to send them on their way. She remembers that they had...
That's funny.
There you go, kids. There's a roll of quarters. Get out of here.
She remembers that they had a movie theater in there too and watching Dumbo on it. Thanks for the memory of making a grown woman yell, me, 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 when the original poster asked if anyone else remembered it. That was, of course, we were talking about the arcade at the Contemporary.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Next email is from Kirk Payne. Writes, hello, Matt, Len, Double Mics, and Annette, and any other random guest that may be present. I tried to go into a live show, but could not get through, so hopefully you get to my question quickly. I won't hold my breath, though. This is Kirk Payne, Disney Dad 24 on WDWToday.com. Hoorah!
Awesome.
From Milford, Ohio, a suburb of Cincinnati. I do have a few questions, but before I get into the questions, I just wanted to give a little background information first. Here in Ohio, we have a couple of theme parks that are filled with plenty of thrill rides. I first went to Walt Disney World when I was 8 years old, and with my brothers and sister, and all the time there was at the Magic Kingdom and River Country. I remember that I could care less for the Magic Kingdom, and I loved River Country. River Country was something that I had never experienced before, and this was before water parks were everywhere. Fast forward to May 2008, which would be my second trip to Walt Disney World, and I must admit I was a little skeptical about going back to Disney. I went with my wife and 2 young children and my in-laws, and I loved it. So much so that my wife and I spent our 10-year wedding anniversary on Len's birthday last year in Walt Disney World.
Woo! Happy birthday, Len.
Our anniversary and Len's birthday are on the same day, which would be what day, Len?
August 1st.
August 1st, there you go. On to my questions.
That's your sister's birthday, too, isn't it?
It is. It's like we're twins or something.
Identical twins, even. On our last
Yeah,
trip...
no, but go ahead.
Oh. Are you fraternal twins?
Would Linda and I be identical twins, Matt?
These genetics are just crazy, man. I mean...
Man, I want to sleep tonight. Stop it.
Yeah. Boys and girls are generally always fraternal.
Well, making a me isn't there anymore, so I'm missing out on this education.
All right, good.
On our last trip to Walt Disney, my wife and I booked a package with a buy 4 get 3 free deal, and my children and I need tickets. But since she has an annual pass, she did not use her tickets. Are these essentially no expiration until she first uses them? Can she use the ticket value towards her renewal on her annual pass? Yes, if you get a ticket, like any real ticket that isn't used, that doesn't expire at some point, you can always use it towards renewing your annual pass. Also for Len, I know that a good touring plan is always the first step, but with regards to the crowd calendar, you recommend and against certain parks. When the parks are 4s and 5s and 6s, is it critical to pay attention to those recommendations?
And I think we've said in the past just to take the touring plan through the first 4 or 5 steps to make sure you get through those big bar blank attractions. Then after that, check to see what the
What about, Len? Like, what if it says like Epcot's a bad park for that day, and if it's only a 4 or 5 or 6, is it still?
You still need the touring plan even for 6. A 4 is is below average. 6 is average for Walt Disney World.
Right. So should you pay attention to those recommendations necessarily?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, still still helps out. Yeah.
Next email is from Marty Doherty of Chicago. Writes, folks, planning my second solo trip for August, and question regarding the tours. I recently did the Keys of the Kingdom tour and loved it. It was a wee bit long, but it was great. Can you talk about some of the others? Are there any to avoid? Are there any that are outstanding?
Oh, man.
Any to avoid. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about some of the tours fairly recently, some of the other shows there, Marty, and I don't think there's really any tour. Is there any tour that anyone here would say you would steer clear from? Because I've heard nothing but great things about the tours.
The only thing I would avoid is if it was too pricey.
Yeah, that's true, but not the tour content itself.
No, the content itself they're really good. The ones I've taken, but some are better than others because they're cheaper.
Right. Scopa?
I was going to say it may come down to personal preference. I'm sure that there are people who would just love to do the steam train tour, and there are others who would not want to do that. They would want to do something like Behind the Seeds or whatever, or something like that. So it really is important for people to understand not just what the tour is about, and not just what the price is, but the time commitment. I think that's something that a lot of people need to know, the time commitment. Some of these are 3, 4, 5, and I think there's even one that's 6 hours long.
Yeah. I think that was the one he was talking about, but yeah, there are some that are very long.
Yeah.
Next email is from Julie, who writes, how do I find what days the Spectrum Magic Parade is on at the Magic Kingdom? I'm visiting for a 2-week trip coming up. Well, obviously, the first place is that you can go to like DisneyWorld.com and check the schedule of events. But assuming that, let's say you're planning a trip for like a year in advance where the park calendar isn't out, Len, is there sort of a rhyme or reason to the Spectrum Magic schedule? Or is it kind of like Fantasmic and they kind of adjust it accordingly?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain days of the week that you can always count on happening, but, like Saturdays. But
Right.
Other than that, no, it's generally, especially that far out, it's tough to say.
Okay. Next email is from Kevin Zigmont of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was wondering if you know if any of the dining plans work at the Food and Wine booths at Food and Wine Festival. If so, what credit or credits do you get charged? I thought you can use your snack credit.
Yeah, I think you can too, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, but I don't think you can like use your counter service credit. I don't think, because there's not a dessert. Well, there sometimes are desserts there, so I take that back, but I don't think it'd be a very good value for you to use it there, but I'm pretty sure I've seen people use their snack credits over there. But beyond that, I'm not certain. Does anyone know differently?
I know.
No, I think so. I think it is a snack credit, yeah. And I think it's good that they do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's makes sense, right?
I think so. I mean, it's about it's a snack type piece of food, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next email is from Karen in Delaware, who writes, hi guys, we've finally been able to plan a December trip in what I hope will be less crowded time. It'll be our first December trip, and this must be 2010, because we would never be late on these. We're arriving December soon for 6 nights. And we indeed picked, forget it.
Next.
Len, how is mid-December for crowds? That's the gist.
Not bad actually, a little bit below average.
Okay, so.
The studios was crowded last week.
Yeah, well, you went there on an extra Magic Hour day, a day showing Fantasmic, and it was actually nice weather.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect.
I went on.
Oh, and there was a Magic Kingdom. Wasn't there a Magic Kingdom party that night?
Tough to say.
Yeah.
So
You're right about that, Newell. Though it was very crowded, especially as you get towards Christmas.
Well, I went on Tuesday night. No, Monday night. It was an extra Magic Hour. It closed at 8.
Oh, I thought you were referring to Saturday. I'm sorry.
No. It was Monday night. It closed at 8. There was no Spectrum Magic and not Spectrum Magic, Fantasmic, and
really,
it was hot, but that's about it. But it was packed.
Well, it is the best theme park at Walt Disney World, so it does make sense.
And you keep thinking. You keep telling yourself that.
Next email is from Steve in Columbus, Ohio, who writes, hey gang, do you have any feedback or suggestions for hourly childcare at the World? I've heard about the Neverland Club and the Fairy Godmothers, but would like to know if you've heard any pros or cons, as we'd like to have a kid-free dinner on our next trip. We'll be going in 2010, so hopefully you'll be able to answer soon. Thanks for supplying us with the Disney fix in between trips.
I recuse myself from this question.
2010's next week.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really.
I've heard very good things about the Neverland Club.
Yeah, I mean, other than the Neverland Club, I can't think of anything else. I guess the Fairy Godmothers.
Yeah, that's the in-room stuff where they come to your room.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything negative about it, so that's a good thing.
I think that's about it. If you don't want kids with dinner, just tell the waiter to hold them. But all right.
Oh man, this next emails. Thank you, Mike. Next email's from Chris in Irvine, California. He writes, first off, thank you for taking over in your father's footsteps. By the time this is answered, I'm guessing it'll be the year 2076. Back here in 2009, I'm wondering if the crowd calendar on touringplans.com, insert futuristic ding and/or space beep, is updated after each month's hours, extra Magic Hours, and events, aka Fantasmic, are planned.
It is.
I'm heading to the World soon. And want to know if the hours currently posted will be adjusted for the new information now available to the crack scientists at the Crowd Calendar Labs. Thanks in advance. Long live the Earth Space Federation.
Awesome. So it is actually every month it's updated when the new hours come out, and then as the hours are adjusted, it's as the hours are updated, it comes out again.
Next email's from Brian from Minnesota, land of Van, who writes, we're going down to the World January 7th, 2010, Thursday to the 14th. My wife and I will be running in our first half marathon. We'll be staying at the Contemporary Resort. In the past, we always avoid extra Magic Hour mornings in past trips during our summer vacations. However, We are normally a rope drop family, and we opened Epcot in 2001, Magic Kingdom in 08. After Marathon Weekend, it looks like the numbers are 5s and 6s. I know park hours will be limited. Also, if they would do something like buy 4, get 3 free, that would fill the resorts up. So you would say anyway from the extra magic hours. I think this email was in reference to a show where we did about extra magic hours versus a touring plan. And he was kind of just commenting on that. So thank you for the feedback, Brian. Next email is from Ricardo Ruiz of Santa Ana, California. Writes, hello all. Not sure if you can help me, but I will be going to Walt Disney World soon. At some point, though, these emails are going to start turning around for 2010, and I won't have to fake it anymore because it'll sound reasonable that an email for March. And I'd like to know some of the history of the parks. Are there any good books on the subject? I already had the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World, which is awesome, by the way. I'm interested in behind-the-scenes stories. How did it all begin? What were the problems that they had while building the parks? I'd even like to know about Disneyland. Yeah, I know. I'm a geek. Heck, I'm listening to Walt Disney World Today podcast from the beginning. Well, we got something else, but books that you all would recommend about learning about kind of the building. One that really comes to mind is the book that Charlie Ridgway wrote. That we had him on a couple hundred episodes ago. But that was a really interesting book, and he was there for the opening of, I believe, every single park that had opened until the point that he retired. And it really went through, especially Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and to a lesser extent, Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong Disneyland. But he went through a lot of the issues that came up with opening those parks. So that might be a great book, Ricardo. Len, do you know of any other books that you would recommend about the Walt Disney World?
It's a good question. So there's a couple. Disney put out some early ones like the Epcot book, Designing the Theme Park of Tomorrow, I think is the name of it. I'm actually looking at it and I can't read it from here. Epcot Center. It's Walt Disney World Epcot Center. It's how Epcot was built. There is a series of architecture books about Disney themselves. If you go into Amazon and you type in Disney and architecture, you'll come up with some of them. Some of them talk about the specific challenges in Walt Disney World a bit more, like doing the utilidors, where essentially they had to move dirt around to be able to build up enough dirt to go down one level. Because remember, the water table in Florida is so shallow.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Next email. Oh, and Ricardo also mentions, special thanks to Len Testa. I was able to meet Len a couple months back during a meet and greet at Disneyland. The unofficial crew was doing some food tasting. He told us some funny stories, and I just wanted to thank him for an awesome time.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Cool. Next email is from Michael Grabenstein, who writes, okay, left wondering, free drink refills available anywhere in the Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom?
No.
Nope. I don't think so. I don't think an Animal... No, I take that back. In Animal Kingdom, there is one at the restaurant in Dinoland.
Really?
Really?
What's that worth? I forget what it's called. The one that's...
Petra Fries?
No, no, the one that's inside the counter service place.
Inside in Dinoland?
Yeah, it's
Restaurantosaurus.
Restaurantosaurus. Yes, that has a you can get free refills like Sunshine Season style.
That's right.
Oh, cool, good.
It's scary that I know something about Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, really, you're good.
Turn in your man card. Will you?
Sorry. Also, could you add in the best and worst of the DVC counter service? And how does Old Key West goods to go stack up?
Old Key West counter service.
Yeah,
I've never tried. I've never tried it.
Newell, what do you think?
It's nothing to write home about, but it's not awful. I mean,
Saratoga Springs, better or worse?
I've never had the counter service at Saratoga Springs.
Oh, you would remember it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it.
In a bad way, you'd remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's burgers and fries and pizza and chicken sandwiches. And chips. It's okay. It's good for where it is. You don't have to get in the car and go anywhere. If you have, I'd prefer to bring food back to the room from a real place. But if I'm at the pool and I don't want to walk back to the room, it's fine for what it is. But it's not awful. It's just not great.
What would you say, Glenn, is the best counter service at a DVC resort?
Best counter service at a DVC resort.
I think we all agree that the worst is probably Artist Palette at Saratoga.
Yeah, that one's. I mean, it's inconveniently laid out. It's not quality. It's not. I think DVC that would be good.
And I guess it's how you define it, because if you're defining like
Yeah, well, I'm thinking like Wilderness Lodge Villas. You go over to Wilderness Lodge, right?
Right, because Wilderness Lodge Villas technically doesn't have anything in the villas room, but yeah, you could just walk over.
I've never tried Old Key West.
Bay Lake Tower doesn't have anything in the actual.
No. You have to go over to the Contemporary for everything. Yeah, it's tough to say. Maybe Beach Club Village. You go to Beach Club.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I can't really think of. I don't think. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe just there's no good.
Maybe Saratoga wins and loses by default.
Exactly. Funny.
Very good. Next email is from Brent, who writes, "Just let me say that I'm a regular listener to your podcast and have been from the beginning. After listening to episode 575, I thought a comment was in order. First off, IKEA is from Sweden, not Norway."
Oh, wow. It was still on that?
Yeah, I know that. That was a joke.
We knew that day.
Second, I thought it was extremely inconsiderate of your group to talk through the entire movie.
Are we going on that again, too?
You may not have actually wanted to sit through the movie, which is probably why you found it necessary to make comments through the whole thing. But did you ever consider the fact that there was probably people there that actually did want to see the movie, and that may be their only chance to see it? As it may, there may be their only trip to Epcot or Walt Disney World in general. We go to the parks at least once a year, and while we have been through every attraction at least once, I still find it annoying when people talk through an entire attraction, especially movies.
When did we talk through the movie?
No.
What?
We did a Mystery Science podcast episode on Norway, and to close this matter once and for all, Matt, how many people were in that theater, including us? 15?
Yeah, and they were all in the front. We were all in the back. There's no way they heard us.
We were, first of all, we were in the last row, all the way in the back. They were all up in front.
I missed the show.
Yeah, no, you weren't there. The equipment we used, you had to. I mean, it was so sensitive that you could barely. Even if you were 2 rows ahead of us, you couldn't hear us. So it wasn't like we disrupted anybody or anything. So that should close that. There was nobody. We made it sound like there were people next to us and they got up to move, but they did not. That was a joke.
Next email is from Mark in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. He writes, "Hello, Annette and the rest of you. As someone who is not fond of American Idol, I was just wondering how the attraction was actually doing and if Phantasmic was ever going to be increased to a normal or acceptable level of performances again."
Yeah, I think so in 2010.
I hope so. From as my folks would say, Len, from your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, exactly. Oddly, so would my sister. That's funny.
Len, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna recuse myself because I'm very, very biased when it comes to the studio.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think they will. I mean, especially during summer 2010, I'd be surprised if they didn't show Phantasmic almost every day. I'd just be shocked.
What do you think about American Idol, though?
Yeah, it's not bad. I didn't see it this last time, although I was going to. It just didn't work out in my schedule, but I'd go see it again. It's not bad.
Yeah, like I always tell people, if you're going to see it once, see the finale show at 7:00. That's by far better than the regular daytime shows, which can be hit or miss, I believe.
I did go to it at Reunion, and one of the things that crossed my mind is that if they're running that show 365 days a year, that means that there's 365 gold passes that are given out. So I'm thinking, are there 365 cities that you can go to the front of the line?
Yeah. It's front of the line behind those 12 people over there.
Exactly.
It's exactly what it is. Whatever. That's fine.
All right. Next email is from... Who is our next email from? Oh, it's from Dan Cisneros, the boxing guru. He's writing in about chicken exits. He writes, "We're going to Walt Disney World soon. I've never ridden the Tower of Terror, and I don't like drops like that. I've been told there's a chicken exit for the attraction. How many of you guys have done that? Will I be laughed at? What can I expect? And how long will I be there without the drop?" There is a chicken exit. It's right where when you get to the loading platform, in the boiler room where they ask how many in your party. There's you actually ironically do board an elevator, which brings you down one floor.
There's not much to that elevator.
Isn't that awesome?
It's pretty dull and boring. The elevator's not themed at all. It looks like your standard office elevator. I've done it before, just to say that I've done it before. Mike, you've done the chicken exit at Tower?
No, I don't even go into the queue.
Okay,
I stay outside.
You take yourself out of the line of fire.
Yes. Or don't show up, like I've been known to do.
I don't think you'll be laughed at. Maybe your family will give you a little razz.
I was going to say, if you're with a group, they'll laugh at you. I'm still hearing about chickening out. But
we'll laugh at you, Mike.
But otherwise, you'll be waiting probably about a couple minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't bad at all, especially from that point.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
All you're missing out on is the actual ride. So it's probably, even if you're planning on not going, I would recommend going through just to the theme and everything, and that way you're minimizing the amount of time you're by yourself. All right, it's time for our last email of the day, and that's where I give Mike Newell 3 emails to choose from. 1 gets read today. The other 2 get read at a future show. Are you ready, Mike?
Let's go. And I hope it's nothing about Norway.
Your options are blasphemy. Scopa is wrong.
Oh.
I take everything nasty thing I ever said about Len. Take back every nasty thing I ever said about Len.
There's all this negative feedback here. All these people beating us up.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, we're out of time, folks. So. See you next time.
Are Scopa and Newell the same person?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
So, blasphemy, Scopa is wrong. I take back every nasty thing I ever said about Len.
Yeah.
With an asterisk next to it.
Can we do?
Yeah, of course.
And are Scopa and Newell the same person?
Can we do all 3?
You want to do all 3?
Yeah, really quick. Let's. We got 4 minutes.
Oh, you got a minute and a half.
Get a minute and a half. Yeah, you know someone.
Last one, because it's the shortest. Are Scopa and Newell the same person?
No.
That's it, folks. Good night.
Next email's from Dan from Las Cruces, New Mexico. He writes, I can't tell Scopa from Newell on the podcast. They sound like the same person. Are you sure they're 2 different people?
Yeah, Mr. New England accent, Mr. New York accent. Come on.
My God.
How you doing? Hey.
Con Harvard Yard.
Next email is from from Kevin Crossman, who writes, I take back every nasty thing I ever said about Len. Len recently recommended skipping Finding Nemo submarine voyage to Disneyland first thing in the morning and catching it later in the day right before fireworks. As a longtime Disneyland fan, I thought the advice was ridiculous. Well, we visited during the busy days before Thanksgiving, and I have to say that Len was right. We discovered only a 15-minute wait was just prior to the second parade of the day. So, Len, all those nasty things that we've said about Disney's California Adventure and Sammy Hagar era Van Halen are forgiven. I still think that visiting the ride first thing in the morning may still be worth it if you have 3 or a 4-day trip. But in terms of touring plans, you're right. Keep up the great work on the official guides. And by the way, the asterisks, after he said I take back every nasty thing I said about you, Len, he says, I still think Len is wrong about Disney's Animal Kingdom. You're not off the hook for that one, at least not yet.
Moving on.
That's awesome.
And our last email today comes from Big Bad Daddy.
Yeah. Woo!
This one's about blasphemy. Scopa is wrong. Writes, longtime listeners all know Mike Scopa's opinion of the babies and very small children, let's say preschoolers, do not belong in Walt Disney World. Why? First, because they won't remember it. Why waste money on bringing a child to the world if they'll never remember it? Second, they ruin the experience for the others when they cry, misbehave, run around, and crash into people and create bedlam. Well, to this I must retort, Scopa is wrong. Walt Disney World and other family resorts around the world were created for the benefit of families. In these days, the definition of family has been expanded to those different lifestyle choices, and Disney has been happy to accommodate all manner of families. So it would seem ridiculous to not cater to the youngest members of the most traditional family. In fact, Disney policies and castings go out of their way to welcome these smallest guests. Moreover, those guests under 3 years old are practically free. They don't need to pay admission to the parks. They don't pay to stay in the room. Disney's not charged for a porta crib, and they don't pay at buffet meals. Sure, it sounds like Disney's saying, bring the kiddies along. He goes on and on and on about this.
Good luck, bro.
Amen. I'm all for it.
So thank you, Big Bad Dad. Did we get it in, Mike?
Yes. With a minute to spare.
Ooh, good. That leaves me just enough time, Mike, to remind all of our listeners that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're planning a trip to Disney World and you are bringing your kids, just don't tell Scopa, tell the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, and they can help you plan that perfect trip for you and your young children. Maybe you're going to do an all Fantasyland trip. Maybe you're looking to just try everything and expose your children to a wonderful time at Walt Disney World. The travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel can help you with that. Check them out at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, positive only.
Yeah, really.
Visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. Actually, the negative stuff is actually funnier, so please send that. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.